Good morning, everybody. How you doing? How's it going? Happy Thursday! If you're wondering where I am, I'm at my sister Kimmy's house. She's asked me to stay over and watch Indie, as she has a late work day today. She just texted me. She's getting a package for the farmer's dog today. Anyway, I'm over at my sister Kimmy's house, and I'm allowed to be here. She has asked me to be here, and you see the background. I'm outside. She's got these new chairs. They look really nice. Um, and when you're sitting down, they're quite comfortable. They are lounge chairs. Uh, they just are very chill chairs. Anyway, you notice I am outside. I said, I'm at Kimmy's. Nobody's in the house except Indy and Banjo. Why don't I do the video inside? I said, you know what? It is kind of quite pleasant to do these videos outside. Especially with the use of my sister's new chairs, lounge chairs. Anyway, how you all doing? Happy Thursday. Happy, I don't know, is it the second week in November? Happy second week in November. I do have some political topics to discuss. But if you're wondering about my Thanksgiving, we've been talking about what are we going to do for Thanksgiving this year, at least in my household. My mom, my two sisters, who do not know I'm a celebrity and public figure, if you can believe it. Honey, I've never been filmed. I'm an artist, but not a real one because I don't have an income from it. If you can believe it, that is in fact, not alleged, the fact of the relationship here. Okay? Anyway, for our Thanksgiving today, I think this year, I said today, I think this year is going to be the first Thanksgiving where we don't do the whole buying a turkey. I usually make the mashed potatoes from scratch. So we've decided this year we're either going to have, well, I'm the only one that's made suggestions so far what to eat, but we decided not to cook Thanksgiving meal and just to go to a restaurant or something. So yeah, I suggested maybe we should have Chinese food or pizza because those are usually the places that are open on Thanksgiving Day. So yeah, that's our Thanksgiving plans. In case you're wondering, it is November. What is there to look forward to in November? You say, Michelle, I don't want to look forward to anything. Okay, that's fine. You know, I'm just kind of like, if that's what way how you feel like, then that's probably a wise and for the best. Examining my life now here, November 2025. There's probably going to be a day when you're like, oh, those were the days. But not in a bad way. You don't want to look forward to nothing. Especially looking forward to saying those were the days, those are good days. Okay, sorry, my bad. Anyway, Thanksgiving, got planned. My sister Kimmy's birthday. She's Sagittarius, and her birthday this year is 2 days before Thanksgiving. I got a painting I'm gonna get her. It's a fish. I think I've decided I'm gonna give her the fish. So I think technically her backyard should be considered a pollinator, Texas pollinator space, a garden. Technically, I think it should. She's gonna, I don't know, she's gonna put some stuff here, I don't know what. She's got a spot over there, all these wildflowers grow. She's quite the gardener. Anyway. Yeah, so happy Thursday. Gonna spend today going over Title 18 and other titles of the United States Code, but slowly but surely I'm getting there. Title 18, I'm on Chapter 110, which is the sexual exploitation. I forget the exact wording. It's the sexual exploitation of minors. That is all of Chapter 110 of the United States Code, filed under Title 18, Crimes and Criminal Procedure. And the Mann Act, I think I've talked about the Mann Act with y'all before. That's actually Title 117. And if you're wondering, if you, excuse me, my hair's all over the place. If you're wondering, I don't know, the lawsuits that I've seen, a lot of them, they reference certain laws, which are the sections of the United States Code, or I guess a state code if it happens to be a state, whatever. So yeah, I don't think I've seen what I'm going over, the sections I'm going over. I don't think I've seen at least the unsealed indictment of is it 2019 or 2020? That was the time frame for, I think, 2002 to 2004, or maybe 2005. I know there's been other stuff going on too, or maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say there's been other stuff going on. I don't know. I have not seen that. But I'm sure there has to be more than just the years 2002 to 2004 or 5 specifically. But anyway, this is those little birds. Anyway, something that I wanted to kind of bring up just to make conversation, I guess, political chit chat, since it seems to be in the news. But anyway, emails. I think, okay, maybe we could talk about that since I said it, right? And then I'll circle back to the statutes. Emails. I think it's interesting. I know that they've subpoenaed, Congress has subpoenaed a formerly known Prince Andrew. For I don't know, to give testimony. I don't know, to I guess give testimony on the congressional floor of the United States. I heard that was going around. I think most recently, on the heels of ending the longest government shutdown, which apparently has affected the airports, I think is interesting. I would see like the number of flights canceled. What are they in Indy? And sometimes it's hard to have a reference point. I don't fly like ever. One of the reasons is because I don't have any money, which seems to be a big reason, right? I don't got points. I don't got money. I don't got none of that. So I'm not really aware of these things. I'm sure there's a lot of people. I don't know how many much of the population is are of fly quite frequently, and just may know this from personal experience offhand or talking to people who have experience. But I don't know what the. I know flights get delayed, and I know flights get canceled. Um, I don't know how frequently that is and why. I know sometimes I've heard of people uh, they book too many tickets, seats for the flight. I guess it's the airline predicts a certain amount of individual cancellations with the tickets, and so that would be the cause for the overbooking or whatever for the flight, a certain flight. Um, I know in those instances, if that happens and everybody shows up, they'll just have them fly a different flight. And some people will volunteer to do so in that instance. Uh, but uh, as far as cancellations and delays and stuff like that, I'm wondering what that looks like. They put the statistics. I think one day it was like over 1,000 flights have been canceled. I guess that's all over the United States, continental United States. Um, so I don't know the reference point of what's the normal uh, average expectation for flight delays and cancellations. Um, and obviously that's not good. I mean, you're either on a flight, either you're flying home to where your place of residence, or you're flying to somewhere and you have room, you booked a hotel, you know? So obviously that would be extremely inconvenient. And dare I say expensive, right? Um, so yeah, there's all the flight cancellations, and I think that's interesting. Um, yeah, to take notes, something to kind of be like, I'm gonna file that in my memory bank somewhere. Um, I think it's interesting. It's as far as the fueling, right? You think of aircrafts, you think, well, what kind of expenses are airlines having? Um, and the only problem there just seemed to be flight cancellations. So the customer service, customer oriented side of the business of operating an airline. Um, but yeah, on the heels of the government shutdown, I think there's some Congress is getting a little bit with this Epstein files, and which I don't I think is probably unavoidable. Um, if you wanted my 2 cents and opinion about it. Um, but I think it's very interesting considering what they bring forth. Right? I mean, I guess in this instance, it's Congress, the United States Congress, both representatives and Senate. Um, I think it's interesting it's email. As far as being proactive about things, I think it's very interesting. We hear all of a sudden in the news it's Epstein emails, and Trump's being one of them. And there's even a quote where they say Epstein says he knows how dirty he is, and another quote about that dog don't bark or something like that. Um, and it can be quite salacious headlines, but I think, it is November 2025. I think that's one thing that we can do as far as trying to be informed is just kind of noticing, I guess, what's happening. So I guess just to be a little bit detail oriented. Um, Obviously, this government shutdown, this is, I think, very interesting. Um, this First of all, it's you have the Republican Party, right? And then you have the MAGA base. I hear a lot about that. A lot of this, whether right now, I think it's Epstein emails, Epstein files. Um, but with that aside, a lot of it is definitely directed and aimed towards Trump specifically, right? I've noticed people, just in general, whether it be on the news or online or whatever, um, it's very specific, right? Which I think is interesting considering my history of absorbing politics. My history before I changed my political party affiliation to Republican, it was I was progressive. I considered my personal and classification of myself and political party affiliation was progressive, meaning that it was the Democratic Party, right? It was an entire party that was insufficient, was not working, um, inefficient, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I think it's very interesting this. When it's with 45 and 47. I think with the progressives, it was the Democratic Party, and the most that they would go for the individual, I guess, would be Obama, and it would be the same arguments though as a lot of other presidents. So not necessarily, it would just be if they were as a progressive. Um, it was mainly the Democrat Party, right, as a whole. And if there was ever like a specifics, and it would be Obama and how, I guess, inefficient and just the, I guess, a war criminal, and stuff like that. Um, it's kind of the same arguments, I guess, as most people have with presidents. I don't know. But I do think it's a little different with Trump, 45, 47. I think this is a bit very much individualized, right? Um, which I don't want to say is unavoidable, but I think is interesting considering, you have pieces on the board, you have players on the board, and that's what you have, right? Um, so anyway, I just think it's interesting, uh, this strategy going on. I think a lot of the times we see, maybe people want to be a bit proactive, right? People have their own jobs and career paths and all that stuff, but I think sometimes when it pertains to uh, 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 sex trafficking and human trafficking, especially the involvement of minors, right? I think maybe even if people have a certain career path, they maybe have feel a responsibility to be a bit proactive, right? However they can, and kind of help however they can, especially when it comes to Epstein and the involvement of minors, right? Um, so I think it's with that being said, I think it's very interesting, this I hear a lot of the Trump base and the MAGA base, and I think that's very interesting. The way I've heard it talked about, I think that um, there might be it to me. It seems kind of odd as somebody here who's not a public figure and celebrity, right? Um, I think when people are fans of somebody, when people support somebody, um, I think it's a little bit different than what I've heard about how reference this MAGA base and stuff like that. Um, but anyway, uh, with that being said, I think maybe the strategy there might be uh, to say you're gonna lose fans, but this is something I've been saying at least these past almost 5 years now, right? Is you want to fight on the side of good, political party, Democrats versus Republican aside, right? If you want to do something good and fight for something good and what you know is good and right, then that's what you're going to do. Um, Whether it be, and you don't have to um, give up everything in order to do that, right? He's made a lot of money. He's made a lot of money. It's uh, you know, that's um, just throwing that in there. I think it's you should want to. Um, it's not an indicator of your character if uh, only good people work for nonprofits. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, no, life isn't like that, and people have different personalities and stuff like that. But anyway, I just think it's interesting. I think the strategy is this MAGA base. And if you're going for something good, you're going for something good. And I think it's just an interesting detail to take note. Um, uh, 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 if you don't know, always in politics, always, always, always in politics, there's some sort of mental game going on. And that's just how it is. I don't think, especially in these past 5 years, I don't think there's ever been, I've seen an instance where this kind of mental kind of game is at play in politics. It's just always there and always present for whatever reason. And you can say that it's in other careers, and I wouldn't disagree with you. Um, but yeah, I think it might be a mental game trying to say that he's not going to have any supporters and stuff like that. And I think that's uh, bad consulting, right? Since it's November 2025, since when has he cared about that? And two, if you're going for something good and right and just, um, and not going to break the law, especially considering with minors and stuff like that, I think is very it's a difficult path, especially through there. But you do that, it helps everybody else's job down the hierarchy, right? Um, but anyway, with that being said, I would say it's bad consulting advice to whoever is happens to be in the opposition, whether it be Democrat or Republican. Because I do just want to say that, hear me being a non celebrity and public figure, it has been a bit difficult, at least as far as being in the political arena, to change political party affiliation. it was okay for me to be a progressive because they weren't a majority in the Democratic Party. And as far as changing politics from Democrat to Republican, that's even more not allowed. But fortunately for Clown Gabbard, that was completely okay. Um, so anyway, um, I would say, yeah, it's bad consulting. It's November 2025. They have a certain playbook. They don't have any other consulting other than you need to put it out in the news that his MAGA base is going to abandon him. Um, somebody is past their prime, whoever has given that advice. Um, and two is this emails. I think that's very interesting. Congress is, we need testimony, we need emails. Well, you know what would be really cool and would be a little bit more, we're going to take you seriously when you do all of these things, Congress, is what are you prepared to do? To just talk about the emails and that's it? That's what you're prepared to do? Okay. Um, and this is after 2005? Okay. But anyway, with that being said, uh, the emails I think again is very interesting. If you happen to live in a state that has not legalized marijuana, um, there's you know, there's for an example, you could just you use different terms. You don't say, "Hey, I need to buy some marijuana from you," like you say it differently, and for whatever reason, right? You don't want somebody to get a hold of your text history or something like that, or whether you're on the phone or whatever. Um, you use different language. You hide what you're talking about, but both parties, yourself and whoever you're addressing, are in the understanding of what it is you are talking about, right? So for the emails, I think is very interesting. Obviously, the target there is 45 and 47, which I again this auto pin, this illegal appointment, I think is this new attorney who went after Comey, a former head of the FBI, um, which might be trying to make Comey feel a certain way, a little bit more grandiose than he is. Anyway, yeah, I just think it's interesting. It's email. It's written. There's several emails, like thousands of them. I'm just thinking like that's a lot of emails. But anyway, um, uh, yeah, I just think it's kind of interesting. I don't think they're getting ahead of the situation, but as far as Epstein and everything he could represent, being the topic of political conversation, I don't think it's a loss or a fail. I think it's definitely a win. Um, and if people are going to be against you, they're going to be against you. I mean, people are going to be against me. Why? Because I'm not nice to, I was nice to people. Before 2021, I was super nice to people, like everybody. I mean, you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, there's just going to be certain people out there where they're just not going to like everything you say or do. And that's their issue, not yours, right? Um, but the important thing is to be smarter than that, right? So anyway, I think that's interesting. The use of the emails, again, I think that's interesting. Having to evaluate what's going on, considering context, considering all the moving parts. It is, again, I want to stress, November of 2025. I would say that they're scared. You've got some emails Trump's soliciting them. Well, Pam Bondi already said that a couple months ago, didn't she? The Attorney General of the United States. So anyway, emails, I'm not really, that's brings me to this chapter 110 of Title 18 of the United States Code is the terms. There's visual depiction is used a lot in chapter 110, which is section 2250 and I think 2260. But anyway, the term visual depiction, as far as I've gotten in that section 110 of sexual exploitation and abuse of minors involving minors, is visual depiction, which means film, undeveloped film, data storage, and stuff like that. They use that term a lot, visual depiction. It is extremely illegal to do that. You're going to get minimum 15 years if you're caught with any sort of visual depiction, which, if I'm still not explaining it right, it's any sort of process. You have a USB stick, that would be considered data storage and thus a visual depiction of a minor. Excuse my language, I'm going to have to put a little warning in the info box that would be considered a visual depiction of sexual conduct with a minor. If it's your first offense, you get the minimum is 15 years. If it's your second offense, you get 25, and if it's your third, you get 35 minimum. It's minimum, right? 15 minimum, 25 minimum, 35 minimum years in prison. And it's the priors are acknowledging and to include estate offenses. Zero depictions or visual depictions of minors engaging in any sort of sexual conduct will get you minimum 15 years, and just having possession of, right? And also distributing and transporting these visual depictions via computer or something else will get you in prison for 15 years minimum. There's also this term, conspiracy, which I think is really interesting, especially considering we talk a lot about a conspiracy theorist and stuff like that, and especially in a negative light, which I think again is really taking things out of context, and that's putting it lightly. The best way to put that, or politely, to say, to be straightforward and blunt about it, I would say you're probably exercising some sort of power and authority over others. It's November 2025, and here I am at my sister Kimmy's, who works for the city of San Antonio, and I'm not a celebrity and public figure, never received not 1 cent as any sort of payment for that. Nobody knows who I am, all that. But I'm expected to be nice to everybody who happens to be in my vicinity. So this conspiracy theorist, right, kind of have a negative rap and connotation to that. But in the chapter 110 of the United States Code, Title 18 is conspiracy against it. They say conspiracy, and apparently it like means something. It is in chapter 110 of title 18. If there's any sort of conspiracy, I guess it's I, I don't know the official term, but to conspire, involving this a sexual exploitation of minors, specifically on chapter 110, is in fact considered illegal and against the law. So there's conspiracies, there's and I guess that's if you're a layman. If you happen to be like an FBI agent, you probably might not get called a conspiracy theorist. You might say that's a part of your investigation. There's FBI profilers and everything all like that. You're not going to say you're a conspiracy theorist, not an FBI profiler. You know what I mean? But yeah, conspiracy is considered a term of the United States Code, and it is in fact in the Title 18, Chapter 110, a sexual exploitation and abuse of minors. I still have a lot to go. It's kind of a long section. Um, but yeah, it's visual depictions, which is uh, uh, not just something you're seeing. It's kind of like all forms. Like I said, like if you if you have like a camera, the film, right? You may not have developed the film, but just having that film would be considered a visual depiction. And it goes with computers and data storage and all that. Um, And so, yeah, a visual depiction conspiracy is in fact in there, and it says if you do this or conspire to do this, then it is illegal, and you will get punished via subsection E, and that's how it's worded in chapter 110. Um, so to do so or conspire to do so is a legal terminology. 37 minutes, almost done. Huh, Andy? So yeah, I wanted to share that with y'all. Um, then yeah. There's also a lot more to it. There's yeah, but crimes and criminal procedure. There's like other sections of the United States Code I also wanted to get into. Um, but yeah, I guess that's my update. That's what I got for y'all. Over here in my sister's backyard. So anyway, happy Thursday. Happy mid-November. I hope y'all have a good one. And yeah, I hope to talk to y'all soon. My husband right next to me. But until then, Melania's going to be knocking y'all bitches back. Okay? Alright, y'all have a good one.